we should probably talk about Namor
Yes.
because I know Frankie was very excited. And as since Frankie, you are one of the Mexican people who don't hate Namor for not being Mexican enough or being too Mexican. I'm not really entirely sure what the context
Yeah,
is.
when you sent me that, when you said that, I instantly knew what you were talking about, and I haven't even seen those comments. I'm like, of course they exist because God,
Yeah.
you're never enough for people. You're never American enough. You're never black enough. You're never Mexican enough. You're never minority enough. You're never too poor enough either. So
Don't want to spend too much time on the negative
no, I
aspect,
know,
but
of course.
what did you think of this pretty unknown actor?
Since the moment I laid eyes on him and it was revealed he was gonna be of a Mayan Aztec, very indigenous descent, I was like, this makes fucking sense. This is incredible. Yes, thank you, Marvel. Thank you to the team at Marvel and for the team at Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, for incorporating this. This makes sense. You're making it make sense, even if it doesn't make sense to all the people and asking why isn't he ripped enough? Bitch, look at yourself in the mirror. You think you could do what he can do? I'm sure some of you are very well off, very nice, and eat well, but my God, like, ugh, he was great. I thought he was phenomenal. He was probably my highlight, besides again Angela Bassett in this film. Yeah, he spoke the native tongue very fluently, or the excuse me, the ancestral tongue fluently, and obviously there is still very much in existence indigenous tribes in Mexico, just like there's native tribes here in America, North America, Central America, or technically all of Central and North are all still the Americas, and there's just a lot of spread out of indigenous people out there. So to incorporate, the dialect of that of I think it's called Nawayan for that's one form of the dialect that I'm familiar with. Eh, Point is like they did such justice in incorporating indigenous people of the Americas, especially ones of the Mayan uh Aztec descent. That is, my ancestors of Mexico. And for me to find out I am pretty much 69, a good number, right? 69%, wink,
Pretty
wink.
nice.
69% of indigenous blood myself, and the rest being made up of European and African, which is also what makes a Mexican. Um, it felt great to know that, and to see that. So one thing I had read too was like, which again, Ryan Coogler, thank you so much for being amazing. He already had his eyes on Huerta. So I'm just like, wow, you already knew of this guy, and so like you already had your eyes on him, like he was gonna be your Neymar. That's amazing. The fact that he knew what he wanted um was great. I'm sure he gave opportunities still to cast unless they just outright casted him. Even then, like that's amazing confidence to have on an actor, and Huerta should be incredibly proud and confident moving forward. You're a superhero guy, like you're an indigenous superhero now, and that's amazing. And you're making boys and girls and people of all ages jump for joy. So that's one thing that touched my heart very, very much so, is that I get to have someone that looks like me. Um, Play something so close to me. So that was great. Yeah, that's all I could say. I don't know how you guys felt about the casting. I'm sure you guys even some of you guys maybe don't even remember who Neymar was or remember seeing him. I remember the first time I laid eyes on Neymar, it was a cartoon where he was trying to marry Susan Storm in the Fantastic Four.
Mm.
That's where I remember him from.
What
I
did
felt
you
like
think, Anthony?
I feel like he wasn't Mexican enough. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Come on,
I'll
um,
man. He
kill
was wearing
I'm
a
you.
just kidding.
baggy white t-shirt and really long shorts that
Like,
went right down to his
He didn't
ankles.
have a
Come on.
donkey.
Yeah. He
um,
didn't
so
call
I,
anyone Holmes the whole movie, bro. Come on.
like
Now. He's not really
I saw
Mexican.
no
we
tortillas being thrown. The fuck.
we we from Wakanda. We no, I was
He didn't eat a
kidding.
single burrito or taco the whole
I saw
movie.
no Taco Bell. We're allowed to make these jokes. We're minorities, damn it. Fuck y'all.
We're gonna cut all this out
Nah,
anyways.
Nah.
I'm
nah.
not
So
leaving any of this in. Are you kidding? You
Nah,
guys are
we're
low key. You're
not.
fired.
Hey, look, I'm a comedian, and it's what we do. But anyway,
No, no.
my real thoughts on it either way is, Frankie, you said it earlier, where it was like what was it, Mayan or Aztec descent, whatever of the two that it
yeah,
was.
you can go
Um,
with either or. It's fine.
and that's what we said earlier with the culture behind it, like
Mm-hmm.
because. I've seen some representation of those tribes back in the day. Remember high school, we had this fucking science history teacher who was a bitch, but
I know usually what it
that
is.
kind of history thing, I do like some history, but that thing is also kind of frightening to me in the sense that they say people fear what they don't understand. So
Hmm.
it's new territory for me. So it's like, I am learning about it as well. I forgot which ancient tribe does like the heart sacrifices. So that's what's kind of like, the scary thing to me. Um, but it's the whole thing about this is the culture that they're showing. This is like the ancient dialect, and because when I first saw them speaking I was like, okay, are they speaking a real thing or is it made up for the movie? And like, oh, it's ancient like Mayan dialect. I was like, oh shit, if that's real then holy shit, that's cool. But yeah, I just thought the whole culture behind it is great. And um I don't know anything about Namor like before the movie.
Okay.
I do know Atuma at some point does I think run the kingdom, so don't know what they're gonna plan to do with that. But um, yeah, this guy was good. I have no idea who he is or if he's done anything else before this or what. But um,
He's one of Marvel's oldest characters, actually.
no, I meant like the actor, like if he's done
Oh,
anything
oh,
like yeah.
I thought you meant by the character Namor.
But like this dude was good in the role.
Hmm.
It's just great casting, and um. I don't know what they're gonna do with him going forward, but I can't wait to see it. I hope that they don't do one of those like, oh, he was great in this movie, but we don't give him a satisfying conclusion. We're just gonna like fuck him over, Some people do
Yeah,
that, some people don't. I trust if they do a third one, Ryan Coogler's gonna direct it. Do he's gonna do it again. He's gonna get it,
yeah.
successful again or whatever. So
Damn, I just realized who Tenoch played in he played a narco in Narcos Mexico.
There you go. And
There it
people are
is.
saying he's not Mexican enough. Are you kidding me?
Oh, you know why? Because he played the darkest one of them all in Narcos.
God damn it,
That's
Tinoch.
why.
God damn it.
Yeah. Chris,
Well, I
what did you
wanted
think of
to.
Tenoch? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I thought he was great. Thought it was really good casting. I thought he was very charismatic. Like Anthony, I have no idea what else he's done. I mean, you mentioned Narco. That's literally the first time I've heard of him doing anything besides this movie.
That's
I
mainly
wanted to
stuff
say,
elsewhere.
Marvel's been doing a good job, like casting these like lesser known actors recently,
Hmm.
like especially in their TV shows, and now with Namor, really good casting. Like people that definitely seem like they could absolutely, Tatiana Maslany, the girl who was in Miss Marvel,
Hmm.
forgetting her name. But like they've the most recent, casting for these projects has been really, really strong.
Right.
Yeah, Tanoke was great. I like that Marvel kind of leaned into the really, really stupid wing feet. They are very silly, and I think whenever something is that silly, you should lean into it. And
Hmm.
they made them look really cool, and they showed them off. They had a really cool shot when he was like flying through the air, and the camera like focused in on the winged feet when he was doing a turn to go back to like
Yeah.
take down another helicopter. I was like, oh, that's so fucking cool. You took something really goofy,
Hmm.
and made it look pretty badass. Because these characters have been around a long time. Not everything that these creators made when the characters first came about, not all of it looks as good on screen.
Hmm.
But they did a pretty good job, and Tanoke was great. I want to see more of him. I want to see more of that world.
Same.
Um, because I felt like that was one area where I was like, I get why. It's very expensive to do a whole underwater city. So you can't spend too much money on that, especially when you have to do a whole on land Wakanda. But I thought that like underwater Talokan, I think was the name. Um, that
Tolocan, I think.
city
Yeah.
looked so cool. Like there's so much potential. Yeah, and I thought Namor was way more interesting than I thought he was going to be, because usually the guy who has fish powers is the lamest one, and he actually ended up being pretty badass. Um, yeah, and a really fantastic job by Tanoke. He was great.
Yeah, I would have loved, obviously, loved to have seen him go head to head with Chadwick Boseman.
I do have a question. This
Yeah.
was my main confusion from this movie is
Mm,
that it starts with Namor saying that he has to kill Riri Williams'
hmm.
character. Why?
Oh, because her technology built the vibranium.
Right, but it's too late. Like it's already out. Like what was killing her?
The knowledge goes away with her.
Because if they destroyed the one that she made, so if she's still alive, she could make another one.
It wasn't.
Uh,
It came off to like it wasn't being. It's like the super soldier serum. Like the only person who knew how to make it was the doctor, so they wound up killing the doctor. I mean, kind of on accident, but when he died, so did the super soldier serum along with him. The only thing that created the I get what you're saying, but it's like it's different. At least with Steve, they took his blood, so technically the serum was alive, but it wasn't as stable. Um,
right.
with the machine, it gets destroyed, and it was. Um, but if you kill the scientist that created it, and I guess somehow they knew that it was just one scientist. Somehow they knew because I guess fish
Right.
powers. That's where like it gets a little campy or like
Yeah, he talks to the whales. He knows
yeah,
what's going
sure.
on.
They know
Yeah.
like he talks to the goldfish in the dorm rooms. Okay,
Yeah.
so like they knew it was just one scientist, and that's how it came out. It was just one scientist, and not even a scientist. It was a girl who's trying to make a hustle. So like if they kill her, the knowledge goes away. It dies there.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they make a third one, it should be Wakanda and Namor's army team up against Doctor Doom. Please, please let that rumor be
So I'm
true.
happy that you mentioned Doctor Doom because earlier you said the thing about the wing feet, where comic characters back in the day and everything works. I've always hated Doctor Doom's outfit, but would it work by leaning into it in these movies, or should they change his look? Because like,
Nah, don't change the look, bro. I've always loved the look. It
I
looks
think
so
it would
fucking cool.
work. I think it would work. I think
Yeah.
they'll modernize it a little bit,
yeah.
but I mean, because look at what they did with like some of the Captain America suits. Like the MCU Captain America suits are some of the best looking Captain America suits that I've seen.
Including the new
Um,
one, man. Sheesh.
yeah. So I mean, I think like, but they
Jeez.
modernized them a little bit so
Yeah,
that they
yeah.
Hmm.
reflect like a modern day Captain America. Um, so I think they would modernize it, but I don't know. It depends who you cast because like there's some like images of Doctor Doom where he's like fucking jacked, but then they keep casting these like scrawny little uh men to play him. I hope they cast someone who's actually of his ethnicity because they leaned into it with Namor, and they should keep doing that. They should do that more often.
Hmm.
So
But
would it technically be because he's from Latveria, right?
yeah,
Which is fictional, but what is that based off of? Like,
forget.
it's
No,
not like
Lebanese. I'm gonna
Not,
sound so stupid.
it's not
not
like
what's it?
Russian or like um
It's just some random.
Latvia.
I wouldn't. I don't know. It's just
Romanian
some.
or something.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Actually, that might be closer to what they were aiming for in the comics, but it's just a random European country that is a little lawless. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah. His dad was German, so they could cast a German person.
I think
Uh,
Michael Fassbender would be great, Doctor Doom.
born in
Dude, I
Latvia.
was just thinking that.
Yeah, I've said that a few times,
I
and
was just
I
thinking
still
that like
stand by that, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, obviously, we want him to probably still remain as Magneto, but
Yeah, that's
honestly,
tough because he's also a great Magneto.
he's a fantastic Magneto.
Uh, so what do you guys think about the future of the Black Panther character? We obviously had a very interesting end credit, post credit, mid credit scene whenever it
mm,
came up.
Yeah, so let's talk about
Um,
that. I always
yeah.
try to capture things, when things are said. I like how like it was known that years went by, and then when Nakia had to say it was 6 years. I'm like, that's significant. I just don't know why, but it is. I know it's gonna further the story. And then right when she appeared with the kid, I'm like, 6 years, 6 years in my head, 6 years. I'm like, that makes sense now. So I'm just like, damn, like they probably had the kid right, right after, or he was conceived right after the first Black Panther movie, and then everything hit the fan with Thanos, and then she probably raised him after the snap, which was 5 years later. So,
Hmm.
and then let's do a year. So then, holy shit. So
But like,
he died probably almost as soon as he came back. Then that would put him in because in a year later, well, we really don't know the time frame of where it takes place because it literally
right
could be 6 years.
after the
No,
5 years or something,
no, if it was after the 5 years,
that'd
it
be
wouldn't be
11, right?
6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that wouldn't be it.
Well, that mean the Shuri would be a lot older than she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But also the blip affected people differently, and I get they could have also said that like the blip. Nah, I just like how they kept it real world. But anyways, point back to the kid. Like that was a big one. I didn't think they would do that. Honestly, I didn't think they would do that.
Smart writing,
Yeah,
really smart writing.
it sets up the future young Black
Especially,
Panther for them to have, uh, and if they really wanted to, like they have a young cast of actors right now. And especially if they want to move forward or do a future one, like they could just bring a younger or teenage Black Panther if they wanted to, because the multiverse exists. It's there. Utilize it when you want. Me and Chris were talking about it before the movie. We're trying to fan cast Miles Morales, and we maybe the right like Chris, great answer is like maybe the right one hasn't just come around yet. The right actor hasn't come around
right.
yet. We have to wait still. But I think he's out there, and I think they have casted him or are still trying to cast him. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, what were you saying, Anthony?
I kind of forgot. It has to do with the kid. Yeah. So because in the movie right before you see Namor, Queen Ramonda was telling Shuri like, your brother has, he told me something or whatever. It was like a secret that he had, and you never get to hear the secret. And I was like, so wait, what was the big secret that she was going to tell her?
Mm,
And I had this big discussion with Frankie and some of his friends about people who see these movies and whether or not they're true fans.
Hmm.
Um, do people still not know that these movies have an end credit or a mid credit scene? Because people were getting up and leaving, and it's like you just missed a huge part by leaving.
Hey, people
But
gotta work. People gotta
it
go
was
trick or
Saturday
treat.
night.
bro, if you sat through 2 hours and 40 minutes, like where are you going? Like, come on, you made your choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, they
So
like
Or
talk
they just
about
didn't
missing out
care.
on that's like one of the that could easily be the most important end credit scene in a Marvel movie,
Yeah.
maybe
because
ever,
like
but certainly in a long time.
there was there's the idea of like people who see these movies, they've been watching most of these Marvel movies, right? They've seen enough of them to know there's something in the credits. But regardless, and number one, if you walked out during that and before the credit scene, in my opinion, you're just a dumbass or you don't care. That's just my 2 cents of it. But in terms of the future of Black Panther, because the movie ends with M'Baku saying he challenges for the throne. And he says, Shuri sends her apologies or whatever for not making it because they were going to, initially crown her at that point, right?
Yeah.
So if M'Baku challenges someone for the throne, number one, that tells me that Shuri is okay with him maybe leading Wakanda since he already leads the Jabari tribe. And maybe Shuri doesn't want that leading role. Maybe she says, you know what? Maybe she'll be Black Panther as the protector, and M'Baku would be the king of Wakanda. Maybe, right? Just who knows? Um, and will that mean essentially we might see Black Panther M'Baku? Because there was some rumors earlier on that he might take over the mantle, and then they said no,
Yeah,
maybe
I remember
Shuri.
that.
I don't know how I can imagine him as big as he is as a Black Panther. That's not easy to visualize.
Eh,
Um,
I'm here
but
for it.
Well,
that
the suit
could
is
be
custom made, man. He's gonna get his own suit. Yeah,
right.
he
But
doesn't have to squeeze into Shuri's
no, right,
like.
of course. But that the Black Panther is stealthy and slimmer. Imagine like a almost hulking Black Panther.
I mean, the version that we know of is that
Right.
way, but
Like what's
everybody
that
has
meme of
their
like
own.
the dog before the muscles?
Yeah.
That's what I kind of think of it as.
Um, I thought the way that the movie ended, they set up, well, I mentioned this earlier, that they set up a potential four different people could end up being Black Panther and like the next time we see the
Hmm.
character. And obviously one of them is Shuri, although I don't think I mean, they pretty much built the whole movie around the fact that she doesn't want to be Black Panther. Um, Oh man, I totally forgot to mention this, but did you guys? I don't know. I thought it was really cool that the suit she made or chose resembled Killmonger's suit
I think it
way
was
more.
his. I think it was his. I like because like you could see like it was like the armory, and it was like it was already there before like when Killmonger took it. Yeah, like I absolutely think it was his. I don't believe it resembled it. I just think it was his. It was his armor. Yeah, it's weird to carry around your dead cousin's armor, but she has her dead
Right,
brother's
because she had
armor.
three initially. There was the one that was like old and outdated, then the one that T'Challa chose, and then
Hmm.
the Killmonger one. So yeah.
It looked different to me. It looked like different armor.
Well, I mean, the
Um,
beads, the nanotech will, I guess
no, I mean
shape
like the
itself.
shoulders looked different. Like a lot of
She could have modified it beforehand, but I
the
think
design looks similar, but I thought it was more that the design looked similar versus her literally choosing his armor. But either way, that's a cool touch because she
yeah, it was
seemed to
cool.
be feeling a lot more like Killmonger. Oh, by the way, Namor was a better villain than Killmonger. His motivations
I
were
loved
way
what
more
you.
fleshed
I
out.
loved your video for that. It was really good, man.
I just thought he was. I just thought like you took a character that had like these really like there was no redeeming Killmonger. Like
Hmm.
to the point that they've introduced him in the What If series like twice, and he's been a dickhead in both episodes. But Namor, he was it was a much better version of I think what people wanted Killmonger to be, which was like this guy where you sort of understood his plan, but like his plan was executing World War III. Like that was no like Namor had an actual like a kingdom of people that he wanted to protect, and Killmonger was just really selfish. Namor was maybe selfish to an extent, but I felt like his motivations were a little bit more clear and realistic. I just thought he was a really good anti-hero antagonist.
Hmm.
Also, because Killmonger is like actually a villain, and Namor is like a more three-dimensional like person who you can see why he's doing what he's doing.
He's trying to
But
protect his
yeah,
people. Yeah.
I just thought that was another example of them taking an element of the first movie and improving on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Shuri, T'Challa Jr.,
Hmm.
um, and then Okoye and M'Baku. Because I could absolutely see Okoye being the person that steps up to him in the end of that movie, specifically because they were building that rivalry between those two for a while
Yeah.
now. And I think that based on everything Okoye went through in that film, M'Baku's not gonna just like get handed the Black Panther mantle. Like, I think it would have made perfect sense if Okoye came out and was like, I want to challenge also. I want to say,
Nah,
Right.
bro.
But don't you have to be from one of the tribes to challenge? And then if not, it's either a royal member or someone from the tribe.
I mean, she could be a tribe. She could be in
yeah.
one of the tribes too.
Probably border tribe then, right?
Maybe.
Or maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know. Anyways, one thing I was gonna say is like, nah, it's Kamaru Usman, former welterweight champion, is gonna challenge for the mantle of the Black Panther. And if you guys don't know, Kamaru Usman was in the movie. He's a MMA fighter. Who
Oh,
it's funny. He was the guy who was going at it with M'Baku about the like how did he get through? It was like,
cool.
yeah, that was him. And it's funny because
I
he's not
was
a
gonna
champion anymore.
add, I'm currently looking at a picture of Shuri's Black Panther suit.
Yeah.
It looks like it's a mix of both
It's a mix of
T'Challa's
both.
and because there is some silver in there and the gold, like
Yeah.
the pointy necklace thing is silver and all that. But um, I'm wondering how that was. Was it a mistake to do it before the ending where she does see her mother again and was like, show him who you are? Or was it intentional? Like, I'm going to represent both my cousin and my brother. My brother, for obvious reasons, my cousin, because I saw him when I went to the ancestral
Mhm.
plane and I'm going to burn the world like my cousin tried to do
Yeah.
because,
It was weird that they chose that moment for her mother to reach out and she hears her. I know she didn't see her. It's just a little that threw me off because that's something that was never in the original like Black Panther movie. Like that's not something that they made evident that like you could hear your ancestors even um outside of the ancestral plane. So that threw me for a loop, and that's something I like. Me,
Could have been a
I agree. I
memory
agree.
thing.
I agree. It's like,
Because in the
no,
first
because
one
like,
when he
because she was in the ancestral plane when she spoke when she said like show them who you are. So I'm like it's not a memory, but if it would have been nice if it was a memory had she seen her at least like briefly in the ancestral plane. But there is a director's cut, so who
well,
knows?
I meant like memory in the sense of like in the first movie when T'Challa was fighting M'Baku, she yells out like show him who you are.
Yeah,
So they may have shown just me speculating.
sure.
They showed the ancestral plane as a cinematic effect, but it was, let me think of what my mother would say in this moment. Like,
Right.
but
Yeah, I mean, I thought the suit represented how conflicted she was in the
Mm-hmm.
movie. I mean,
mm,
right down up until the like literal end where she had the choice of killing Namor, which is what Killmonger would have done, or letting him live, which is what
T'Challa.
T'Challa uh,
right.
would
And I
always
w-
want to do. Because
and I wonder.
in
Oh, sorry.
Civil War, wait, was it Civil War where T'Challa becomes like obsessed with avenging
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
his
Yeah.
father's death, and they're
Yeah.
like, that's not the path. That's not a path you want to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I liked a lot of those little touches. Shuri was a
Yeah.
very conflicted character in this movie.
Here's one thing I wanted to know. Where the hell was the kinetic energy from the suit? Because the amount of damage that she took, she should have had enough to like knock this motherfucker out with one punch and with the kinetic energy or something. But
Maybe it eats more. Maybe it eats more. It's been like 6 years.
Yeah,
So maybe there's been an upgrade to absorb more because she did eat a lot, and then it didn't it
but
actually
did she
wind up.
use it or
Yeah, I think she wound up
yeah,
using.
yeah. She
Yeah.
did.
was it she was saving up the energy for the Wakanda Forever explosion thing? I don't
No,
know.
I
I
think
don't
that
know
was just
that.
more. I think that was just more remote activation for like self-destruct.
Yeah, yeah. That
Mm.
was her activating the thrusters on the ship. Yeah, but she did use it when
Yeah, she did.
Namor was. I thought it was just really cool that they were like, "Oh, we've never fought anyone that also had vibranium," and I was like, "Oh yeah, that is kind of cool to put them on this even playing field." Because like
He's
it,
strong. What the hell?
yeah, it was just man. When Namor stabs her, I was like, "Damn, bro,
That's it.
that's
GG's.
fucking crazy." Like,
That is a good point you made though about the vibranium thing. Like, yeah, like
Mm.
it was, like I said, this is new to us. Like, how do we stop someone who has the same shit that we got and he
yeah,
has
they
more
took away their
more
only
soldiers?
advantage. Like,
Yeah.
and then they put them at a disadvantage because this motherfucker could talk to whales.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
are you
And he's
kidding me?
strong. He
Where were
could
all those
fly.
fucking remote control rhinos
Yeah,
from
he
the first movie? Like,
Word. What
man,
happened to them shits? Great point.
uh,
Great point, my G.
yeah, you know what? This is going way back, but you know what I liked about those suits, that Shuri was building was that I had to remind myself that T'Challa is the only one that had powers. I was
Hmm.
like, everyone else is just a really good fighter.
Yeah.
Like they don't have superhuman strength. They're just really skillfully trained warriors, but they're normal people. Like they're humans. So at
Yeah.
any point, if they run into better fighters or people who just have more resources, they'll all die. Like,
Hmm.
which is basically what this movie was hinting at the end was like they were severely outnumbered and they were fighting people that were just better. They had more resources than they did. And I was like,
They were
yeah,
mutants.
they kind of do need the suits because, like, regardless of whether or not you think they look silly, like this is a group that is now like facing the fact that they are not the number one superpower that they thought they were,
Hmm.
and Shuri was basically trying to tell them, like, no, look, we need to like upgrade because
right.
without T'Challa, like, we're just a bunch of good warriors, but we're all regular humans. Like, at
Because
any
even
point, someone could take us
Okoye,
down.
Okoye killed three of them and they came back up and was like, so
Yeah.
these attacks should have been fatal and they just got up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Denai Guerrero was so good in this movie. She
Yeah.
was so
She was
good.
wonderful.
I just wanted to say, and this is like kind of sad, not to end us on like a downer, but
Hmm.
see if I can get through this. I think that the passing of Chadwick Boseman,
Hmm.
it made me realize how central of a character Black Panther was becoming in the MCU. And I was thinking back to like kind of what this movie turned into, which was them really spreading out like the shine to so many different characters that didn't really get that much of it in the first movie. And it was like, yeah, I mean, I guess if Chadwick Boseman had been in this film, which obviously we all would have preferred that version of real life, but we wouldn't have gotten the like expansion on a lot of these other characters that just didn't really get to do that much in the first movie and in the MCU in general. And it was like, I feel like if Chad watched this movie, he would have been so happy to see all of his co-stars become leading characters
Yeah,
in the film.
for sure.
And it was just like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I took that away from this movie and I was like, I think that's part of why I liked it so much is like Wakanda is such an interesting world. And to see them really go for it, like to just say like we're gonna take every character that we'd even like other soldiers like from the Dora Milaje that really didn't get to talk at all in the first movie. Even like expanding on them and their relationships, like I was just like, wow, this was such a cool way to go about making this movie.
Yep.
And yeah, I think that Chadwick would have been proud.
I never answer to no, man, I still go, go, go.